October on all of those issues?
They'll probably be looking at what the polls are saying. If it looks like I'm going to win, the markets will be happy. If it looks like the president's going to win, the markets should not be terribly happy. It depends on, of course, which markets you're talking about, which types of commodities and so forth. But my own view is if we win on November 6th, there will be a great deal of optimism about the future of this country. We'll see capital come back, and we'll see, without actually doing anything, we'll actually get a boost to the economy. If the president gets reelected, I don't know what will happen. I can never predict what the markets will do. Sometimes it does the exact opposite of what I would have expected. But my own view is that if we get a tax again, as they call it, January 1st with this president, and with a Congress that can't work together, it really is frightening. It's really frightening in my view.
54% of American voters think China's economy is bigger than the U.S. When I first met you 4 or 5 years ago, you did a data dump where you went very granular and you said, look, guys, this is a small group. You said, this is it. This is what it is. Tell it like it is. How are you going to win if 54% of the voters think China's economy is bigger than ours? Or if it costs 4 cents to make a penny and we keep making pennies? Canada got it right a month ago. Why isn't someone saying stop making pennies, round it to the nearest nickel? That's an easy thing, compared to Iran. I want to see you take the gloves off and talk to people that actually read the paper and read a book and care about knowing the facts, and knowledge is power, as opposed to people that are swayed by what sounds good at the moment. If you turned it into like eat what you kill, it'd be a landslide, in my humble opinion.
Well, I wrote a book that lays out my view for what has to happen in the country. And people who are fascinated by policy will read the book. We have a website that lays out white papers on a whole series of issues that I care about. I have to tell you, I don't think this will have a significant impact on my electability. I wish it did. I think our ads will have a much bigger impact. I think the debates will have a big impact.
No one even knows who Pete Peterson is, and he told us they were in trouble 20 years ago.
But that's my point, which is being right. My dad used to say being right early is not good in politics. And in a setting like this, a highly intellectual subject on a whole discussion of a whole series of important topics typically doesn't win elections. And there are afraid. I mean, for instance, this president won because of hope and change. All right. He won because of hope and change.
Keep the change.
Yeah, well, so I can tell you I have a very good team of extraordinarily experienced, highly successful consultants. A couple of people in particular who've done races around the world. I didn't realize these guys in the U.S., like the Karl Rove equivalents, they do races all over the world. In Armenia, in Africa, in Israel. They work for Bibi Netanyahu in his race, and so they do these races and they see which ads work and which processes work best. And we have ideas about what we do over the course of the campaign. I tell them to you, but I'd have to shoot you. Hopefully it'll be successful. Please.
I think one of the aspects of the change that worked well for Obama 4 years ago was he promised to bring us more honest, transparent governance in Washington. I've been around politics. The campaign I worked in with Barry Goldwater in 1964, so maybe I'm the oldest Republican here. But from what I've seen, particularly in the last 7 months, because of my own personal involvement in the issue, is the government in Washington right now just is permeated by cronyism, outright corruption. Our regulatory agencies that are supposed to protect the public are protecting the people that they're supposed to be regulating. And I think people are fed up with that. It doesn't matter whether you're in the Tea Party or Occupy Wall Street. People see that the government is working for the powerful interests and the people who are well connected politically and not for the common person, which threatens that whole idea that we have this great opportunity, which we should have and have had historically in the U.S. for anybody from whatever background to become successful. One way in which that becomes compromised is when the government is no longer seen as being an honest agent, and where our tax dollars are not really being put to work for us, but for the people who are plugged in politically. You had cases like Solyndra and the Global issue, which I talk about and involved in. You have Eric Holder, who's probably the most corrupt Attorney General that we've had ever in American history. And I think it's something that if spun the right way in simple terms, can actually resonate with the American people. Obama did not keep his promises. Nancy Pelosi, who was supposed to give us an honest Congress, has given us just the opposite, which is the speaker. And I think that's a campaign issue that can work well. I'm optimistic that you'll be elected president, and my recommendation would be clean house immediately. The SEC, the CFTC are disaster areas. And
I wish we weren't unionized so we could go a lot deeper than you're actually allowed to go. But mind the way here. Yeah. I can say this, which, and I'm sure you'll agree with this as well, which is we speak with voters across the country about their perceptions. Those people I told you, the 5 to 6 or 7% that we have to bring on our side, they all voted for Barack Obama 4 years ago. So, and by the way, when you say to them, do you think Barack Obama is a failure? They overwhelmingly say no. They like him, but when you say, are you disappointed that his policies haven't worked? They say yes. And because they voted for him, they don't want to be told that they were wrong, that he's a bad guy, that he did bad things, that he's corrupt. Those people that we have to get, they want to believe they did the right thing, but he just wasn't up to the task. They love the phrase that he's over his head. But but you see, you and I, we spend our day with Republicans. We spend our days with people who agree with us. And these people are people who voted for him and don't agree with us. And so the things that animate us are not the things that animate them. And the best success I have in speaking with those people is saying, you know, the president's been a disappointment. He told you he'd keep unemployment below 8%. Hasn't been below 8% since. 50% of kids coming out of school can't get a job. 50%. 50% of the kids in high school in our 50 largest cities won't graduate from high school. What are they going to do? And these are the kinds of things that I can say to that audience that they nod their head and say, yeah, I think you're right. What he's going to do, by the way, is try and vilify me as someone who's been successful, or who's you know, closed businesses or laid people off and isn't an evil bad guy. And that may work. I actually think that right now people are saying, I want someone who can make things better. That's going to motivate me. Who can get jobs for my kids and get rising incomes? And I hope to be able to be the one that wins that battle. Yeah, please.
I've seen Obama a lot of times in these talk shows, reviews, etc. I've never seen him on any of them. And I think a lot of the women, especially, you know, of those women that you're talking about, I think they would see it in a different light. Because I think a lot of women, especially, do not watch debates. They don't come to these functions. That if you maybe, you know, show your face more on TV and talk, you know, just like a regular, what's that word? What's the typical American last name? Like
Smith.
It's Smith.
Yeah. In Sweden, you say Johansson.
Okay.
So I think maybe you could reach a lot of the voters.
Well, thank you. I have been on The View twice now. So you've got to come on. I've been on The View twice.
We'll get you on Kelly.
It went very well.
Kelly.
Regis is gone.
Kelly and Michael's ready.
I've done the evening shows. I've been on Letterman a couple of times. I've been on Leno more than a couple of times, and now Letterman hates me because I've been on Leno more than him. And they're very jealous of one another, as you know. And I was asked to go on Saturday Night Live. I did not do that, in part because you want to show that you're fun and you're a good person, but you don't want to. You also want to be presidential. And Saturday Night Live has the potential of looking slapstick and not presidential. But the View is fine. Although The View is high risk because of the 5 women on it, only 1 is conservative and 4 are sharp-tongued and not conservative. Whoopi Goldberg in particular. Although last time I was on the show, she said to me, you know what? I think I could vote for you. And I said, I must have done something really wrong. I'm going to sit down and enjoy. Oh, Darlene, you get the last word.
I was just going to say, I think our media strategy would be sending Ann on The View and having her sit there.
Yes.
Because she, I think, is your best surrogate, your best advocate. She connects so well. I mean,